I'm Shain, a New York Jewish mom who had the audacity in 1993 to continue a geriatric pregnancy and give birth at the age of 46.
And I'm Sarah, the result of that pregnancy. 32 years later, I'm currently a practicing therapist. Though Shain is often thought to be my grandmother, she's still my mom, and this is Listen to My Mother,
a podcast where we answer your real-life questions with 2 points of view, one rooted in motherly instinct,
and one rooted in clinical training.
You'll get guidance, support, maybe a little tough love, but always from the heart.
And if you'd like us to answer your question on air, head to the link in our show notes and send it our way. We want to hear any questions you have.
And now it's time to
Listen to My Mother. Just a quick intro note. There are some spoilers in this episode about the book Heartwood by Amity Gaige, so please bear with us. Thank you and enjoy. So we're back recording. It's been a really long time since we've recorded an episode, so we'll see how we do, if we're rusty or still have it in us. Oh, you want to say hi?
Hi. I'm saying hi to all of you who listen to us, the hundreds of millions of
the
people.
2 people who listen to us.
And I am saying hi not only to our listeners, but to my 2 daughters and my grandson. We're all in the room together in Phoenix, actually.
Yes.
For a few days. And I think somebody wants to say hi.
Hi, my name is Jay. I'm 12 years old. I exist. And yeah, I have to leave now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very good. So then we also have my sister, Mara, who you've joined us before, right? You've been
Once
in
before,
an
yes.
episode? Yeah.
I think it may have been the very second
I think so.
episode.
The second episode. Yeah.
Well, Anna was on the first one?
Yeah.
Then, this
Yeah.
was the second.
Yeah, and then Dad was on the third. And then it was just us for a very long time. And now we're back with Mara because we haven't had a submission in a really long time and life is chaotic. But we decided to read this book that is very kind of centering around mother-daughter relationships. And we thought it'd be fun to invite the other daughter
Hello.
to join us and talk about this book, which is Heartwood by Amity Gaige.
And why was this recommended to you initially?
So a friend recommended this to me. This friend recommends books to me all the time, but she said that it's really interesting. It's about mother-daughter relationships. And I was like, oh, we are desperate for something to record about. So let's do that. So I made everyone read it, and we're going to kind of talk about this book and the relationships in it. I have 0 notes. Mother has typed up summary, and Mara has chaotic handwritten notes inside the book. So we're all on a different level here, different level of preparedness, and we'll see what kind of came up for all of us.
We're doing 2 things, I feel, about this book. Number one, we're giving a review on some level about the book. And then we're going to talk about mother-daughter relationships in the book. So just to start off with kind of a review of the book, I found it, if anybody's interested in reading it, I do suggest it because I am not an adventurous person. This is about a hiker who does the Appalachian Trail from beginning to doesn't quite get to the end, but
Yeah.
it was kind of slow moving.
I was from the beginning.
But in the middle, it was taking too long for me. And then there was something happened. Valerie, who is the protagonist, well, they're
all
3. They're all protagonists. There are 3 of them. But Valerie, who is the hiker, gets lost on the Appalachian Trail. And then it's a matter of finding her, hopefully, before she dies, lost on the trail. So I found, because I am not an adventurous person, reading about it reminded me of Strayed, a book about hiking the Pacific coast. The Pacific.
Wild?
By the author was Strayed, anyway. Wild. I found that fascinating to have a description of what it's like to do that kind of hike. And that's how I felt about this book, too. I am experiencing this adventure without leaving my couch basically. But I learned a lot about the experience, and I could kind of feel it. And since I'm never going to do it, I appreciated having the descriptions. I really enjoyed learning what she was experiencing on this hike, the people she met, the relationships that developed. I found that really fascinating and enjoying it. And also the experience of nature that she really did a beautiful job describing what was happening around her, what she experienced, especially after she got lost and really was paying attention to everything around her. I just found all of that very fascinating to read. So I enjoyed the book very much on that level. But this book is really about the relationships and mother-daughter relationships, which I didn't really pay that much attention to as I was reading it, because I thought it was about the story.
Despite me telling you, read this book so we can talk about mother-daughter relationships on the podcast.
Yes, but as I was reading it, I really got into the story more than the individual relationships. And when I was all finished with it, I went, wow, that was really about mother-daughter relationships, and I wasn't paying attention to that. So let's see what you guys got, and I will certainly jump in when you remind me of what was going on in the book.
Well, I'll jump in. I very much wish that I had read this book this week and not last week, because I felt very passionate about it right after I read it, and now I'm just like, I don't really remember. I don't remember why I felt so excited about it. I mean, I know I definitely enjoyed this book very, very much. I was gripped from the beginning. You said that it was slow.
I think because doing it as an audiobook for the first time, and usually I get really gripped by audiobooks, but I think this particular story and the way that the voices were being read, there were some details that I missed in the beginning because I wasn't super gripped. But then when I got to Florida and I was visiting mom and dad and I borrowed mom's hard copy, I finished the book in a day. I picked up on details that I hadn't picked up on before and flew through it and was very gripped by it.
Yeah, I read the whole book in 2 days and I was totally into it. And also I tend to skim, especially over details, over like descriptions and things like that. I found I did not do that in this book. I was very much enjoying all of it, all of the descriptions, the nature, the relationships. Now, I remembered Sarah saying that it was about mother-daughter relationships, so that's what I was focusing on when I was reading the book. And it was wonderful because it was such a great dichotomy of this story, this gripping mystery story of what happened to her and are they going to find her, and all the relationships, because there's so many relationships that are dealt with throughout this book.
The 3 women who are highlighted, their mother-daughter issues, all 3 women, very different.
Yes.
Very different dynamics within each family.
And 3 very different women from 3 different generations.
Yes.
Which was very interesting as well. And some of them were having mother issues and some of them had daughter issues, but it was all intertwined.
And there were peripheral mother-daughter relationships also, like with one of the main characters' sister and those daughters.
Right.
So there were those peripheral relationships. And then there was also the peripheral father-son relationship with the
Wayne.
person
Not
she
Wayne.
met. No, Santo. The person
Santos,
she
Reuben.
met. Yeah. With the person that she met on the trail.
Right.
And that relationship with his father. And it's just that parental dynamic is so interesting.
Yeah.
And every character had something to contribute to that in this.
Everything, yes.
The question just popped up in my head, which may or may not be related to this book at all. What is it that children, and I don't mean little children, I just mean children of parents, what is it they want the most from their parent? What are children looking for that will serve them best coming from a parent?
I think it changes based on life stage. I think we want different things at different ages. I think when you're younger, you want pure safety. I think when you're an adult, you want acceptance for who you turned into. That's not a carbon copy of your parent, or not a carbon copy, not what they wanted you to be. there's acceptance for who you actually are.
Yes, but
I
what you did or didn't get as a child, the safety is going to still exist.
I think that whether or
Even-
not you get that, the safety is the piece that always exists with all the other stuff that then
Right. Acceptance
like-
is safety.
But even more acceptance is more as you get older. But I think that safety piece on
But I mean,
some
acceptance
level,
is safety. Like, to be accepted is to
mhm.
be safe in that relationship.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
But I think that as a kid, it's more pure safety and not the like layers of what it means to be safe in a relationship.
Right. Right.
Having raised the two of you, just if nobody who listens to this recalls, the two of you are 20 years apart. I was a very different mother to each of you, not just because you're a different mother to every child you have, but that it was literally two completely different stages in my life.
Mhm.
It wasn't just different interactions with different personalities. It was two completely different stages. And I don't know how true I've been to the pledge I made to myself and to you, Sarah. When I was raising you, Mara, I had the idea that it was my job to mold you, to teach you, to make sure you were safe as I don't know how safe you felt because I was a crazy person, but that somehow it was my job to manipulate you into what you were, in my mind, supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
You were supposed to be really smart. Well, you are really smart, so I must have been really successful at that. You were supposed to be, you were so beautiful as a baby. You were going to be the most beautiful human being that ever existed. You were going, there was so much expectation put on you because that's what I thought I was expected to do as a mother.
I think that that's very, very, very common for first-time mother,
Mhm.
because I am very much recognizing everything you're saying about my mother as well, because it is like that makes a lot of sense.
Right?
You
This
see
is your
this-
job.
right? Just to help mold and direct, and how interesting to have another opportunity.
And to have certain expectations of what your child will do,
Mhm.
who your child will be, how your child will present you to the world.
Mhm.
One of the most useful and helpful things that was told to me when you were finding colleges, there was so much discussion among the parents of the kids in your class. We were comparing, where is your child applying? Where is your child applying? Did your child get in here? Did your child get in there? There was all of this competitiveness with other moms about where you kids were going to go. And I got the best advice from my friend Judy, who said, back off. Do not let your ego get involved in what your child does from this point on. This isn't at all about you. Drop the ego and this competitiveness. And it was the best advice ever. I backed off. You did what you needed to do. And so when I gave birth to Sarah 20 years after having you, I felt very differently about what my role was now as a mother. And I remember sitting and nursing you very painfully and making a pledge. I don't know if I lived up to it completely. I tried. Making a pledge that it is not my job to mold you. It is my job to support you in whoever it is you are, to give you the freedom to be whoever you were going to manifest as. That doesn't mean I didn't get really pissed when you left wet towels on your bedroom floor, which I found out later you fudged and never really took the shower.
Or when you got your first tattoo.
Oh, that first tattoo! I was ready to. We won't even go there. Anyway,
We can go there.
it was a very different experience 20 years later with what I thought my role was.
I feel like I'm going through that now. I'm only going to have one child. That's it. So I feel like I have definitely improved in that, where it is not, I mean, he is who he is. And there's only so much at this point at 12, almost 13, that I can even, I do it where I feel like I can, but it's just so much less.
There's a difference between molding who someone is going to become and molding how they move through the world. And like your job as a parent is to give them the best possible tools for how they move through the world, but you're not going to define who they are.
Right. And I feel like I've made that shift where it's when he was younger, you are going to mold who they are. And then over the course of how many years, and it's realizing, I think it was Alicia that made the comment to me once where he was young and I was saying something and she's just like, why do you feel like you have any control over that at all? I don't remember what it was specifically about, but maybe he was 4 years old, 5 years old, whatever it was. And she made that comment, why do you think you can control this? And it was...
light bulb went off or something?
The start of a light bulb went off for sure.
Then I have to ask you, if you had this pledge, why did I have to take Latin?
That wasn't about molding you. That was giving you a tool.
Okay, so that tool affected
You don't know yet how it's going to come in handy.
Well,
you don't know yet. It's still in your future.
Latin will benefit me. Latin will benefit me when I need to summon the devil, and no other time.
It may be necessary. You never know.
It was funny. We were in the car. I was in the car with Dad, and he was talking about, he was like, yeah, my mom made me take French, and I'll never forgive her, and I'll never forgive your mom for making you take Latin.
Why he is invested in this, I do not know. Really. You want to come back to the book?
Yes.
You haven't said how you felt.
I have no notes.
Do you have a memory?
I do. I have memories of the things that stuck out the most to me. One of the things that stood out to me the most was one of the characters is talking about, in a lot of this, talking about the relationship with the mother, and that like throughout her entire childhood, if her mother left the room, she felt lost. Without her mother in her proximity, she was terrified and afloat, had no ability to anchor herself to anything without her mother as like the guiding post for that. And you don't find out, and like you hear so much about the relationship between this narrator and her mother, and this obsession with her mother almost. And
I don't think it was obsession.
Okay.
I think that's the wrong word.
Well, let's clarify. This is Valerie, who is the hiker who is lost and totally on her own. This was a woman who, as a child, could not leave her mother, could not be separated from her mother. And what does she do now that she is lost? She journals letters to her mother to describe what she's feeling and what she's seeing. And that's how we learn so much about what she's experiencing. But it's because she's describing it to her mother. This connection to her mother is what's keeping her sane.
But she even mentions at one point, she's like, my therapist now describes it as anxious attachment or disorganized attachment. And it's like, yes, it is. It is very disorganized attachment, that she feels like the world is ending without her mother in the room with her. There's this one part where she talks about when she got tucked in at night and her mom would leave and she would lay in her bed frantic and panicking because like she could feel like she could die at any second without her mother right next to her. And that there was this like, maybe obsession's the wrong word, but like this kind of like umbilical cord that was never cut, but not by the mother. Like she never let her own umbilical cord be cut.
But I think it was also very, very clear that she has a high anxiety disorder, which she had from the beginning.
Yes.
And that her mother was the safe zone.
What a brave
thing to do.
She is doing on this hike. It's just beyond.
Anyway, the whole thing about this relationship that I find so interesting, because we're hearing from her perspective in these letters to her mother all about her childhood, and we don't find out until one of the other narrator's chapters. The narrator was one of the park rangers, the park ranger who was in charge of the search for her.
Beverly.
Yeah, Beverly. We learn in one of her chapters that Valerie has a brother, which in all of Valerie's tellings of her childhood, it is just her and her mom. There is no, and her dad is at the search and her brother is at the search, and there's no anyone else in her world. Like, it was just her telling of her childhood centers completely around her mother.
But I think it's also in this place where she is terrified and she is lost. Her mother is her anchor.
But in all of these stories, I think that's the point, is that there is no mention even at all of like, and the brother played this part of my game.
Because it's not part of what she's going through right now. She is.
But it's also, it makes me wonder too, because we were talking before about how you're a different parent to each of your kids, and kind of like in her memory, her mother was hers. And was her mother ever her brother's? Probably in some way, but that's not part of her version of it.
At least not in this moment.
Yeah. Or in the time, it makes me wonder about the times when her mother was her brother's.
Right.
And giving that attention and energy to the brother, and if she felt abandoned in those moments.
Well, she also did talk about the time when she was a teenager and she wanted absolutely nothing to do with her mother.
Right.
Because that's just normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there was some normalcy in the relationship, like, get lost, Mom. Such a different experience, the mother-daughter of Beverly with her mom, who we can go into why she feels emotionally removed from her mother to the point where her mother is in hospice and she does not feel the need.
No, I read that so differently. I think she was not emotional. I think she was too emotionally invested, because if she went, the decision would have been made to take the mother off of hospice and life support, and she could not make that
handle it
decision
in that moment. She was the one who was hyper protective of her mother, and her sisters are like, yeah, she wasn't the best mother, but she could not make excuses for her mother. She had to make excuses for
her mother, in the same way that
she's the oldest sister,
right? And in the same way that Valerie, her mother was 100% of her life, Beverly's mother was 100% of her life, but in very different ways.
She was not a security. She was not safety. She had to protect her mom.
Right. But she felt an overwhelming duty to protect her mom, that it took over everything in her life. Whereas with Valerie, it was like an overwhelming safety that was like veered into an unhealthy safety with her mom, that they were each of them had their mom as their primary focus, but for very different reasons.
There are 3 quotes in here. The very beginning, this is the first thing that caught me, which is, and this is Valerie, this is her first entry as, she's lost.
Yeah.
At the very end, she says how she's super anxious. And then in order to deal with that, she grew up, she survived the ordeal of life as growing up, and spitting in the eye of her numerous anxieties, she became a nurse. So she was already super brave before she even went on this walk. She saw who she was and she knew what she needed to do too. She says, eventually, I understood that motherhood, as the child imagines it, is unperformable. No woman is a star, no woman is a god or a tree or a magician, but for a while, in your arms, the universe was the right size, and I knew where I was. Later, towards the very, very end, she writes, because she's starving and she's dying of thirst and all this stuff, and it actually rains, and she makes the comment, maybe I need a bigger mother. My earth, my mother Gaia. Thank you, mother. So she's moving beyond her mother. And then at the very end, and this is Beverly, I think. Yeah, this is Beverly's, who's now dealing with the other opposite of it, which is she's talking about her sisters, and her sisters feel less duty bound to their mom. They're more realistic. They learned to live with the mother they got. The real mother, the mother you get, you've got to love her. There's no choice. She is the mother you needed. She gave you strength either because she loved you well or because she loved you poorly. She gave you your mission. It's the dream mother that you have to let go of. The one you pined for, the one you thought your decency promised you. She's the one you've got to bury. She's a mirage. She'll only break your heart.
Last night, I was driving home with a friend in the car, and we were talking about our relationships with our parents. And he made a comment about how thinking about what his dad and his brother and himself put his mother through. He's like, that poor woman. Like, every time she handled something that maybe like we thought was too much, it's like, the retrospect is like that. Like, of course she handled that way. Like, that poor woman, what we put her through. And like, sure, you can humanize your parent. You can have understanding of where those toxic behaviors come from, and they can still owe you an apology. And like, we had this conversation, and like, I was talking about episode 4 of like the body shaming stuff and how that has created a lifelong difficulty for me. And I can completely understand how you got there and how difficult that was for you and what your experience of that sort of rigidity around body image, how that negatively impacts you. And I can have compassion for that. And you can still owe me an apology for the things it did to me.
Yes. And how lucky for you that you have a mom who can do that.
100%. But also, 10 years ago, I didn't. She's grown so much.
Absolutely.
But
I think that is rare. I think that is, and I think that you may need the apology and you may want the apology and you may get the apology, but it's your job to be able to live without it and become a whole person even without that apology.
But that's like in this book, because we haven't talked yet about Lena. And Lena owes an apology. And she tried to give it, and her daughter wouldn't take it. So there's
not ready to at this point, or whatever it is. But she did allow her access to.
But like, just like, you can be owed an apology and not get it. But also, I think it's important to kind of recognize that like 10 years ago, that wouldn't have happened. And we talked about this on another episode, that relationships have become so disposable that people don't allow for growth. And that's like the key thing is like, she grew. People can grow if you give them the space to.
If they give themselves the space
to. Right. I mean, there's a lot of people who's like with Lena, who's like people who try to grow and they're not afforded the space to grow.
Yes. And then there are people who desperately need it and are never going to get it because those people can't grow.
This just reminded me of a conversation with my sister, because we had a very different relationship with our mother. And there was one time she was visiting me in my house and we were talking, and I made a disparaging remark about my mother, which I was prone to do because she wasn't kind to me at all. And I have more negative memories than I have positive ones. And I was saying something disparaging about my mother, and my sister broke down and started to cry and kind of went into, I wouldn't say an attack on me, because that's not in her. She's not an attacking person. But she was very upset, raised her voice and said, "Why are you always doing that? Why are you saying negative things about her? Why do you have to do that?" You know, and very hurt, very upset. And I was taken aback, because I thought it was normal for me to say those things about my mother, because we had a different relationship. But that particular time, it hit her hard. And she let me know that. And I kind of backed off. But I did say to her, you know, this is who my mother was to me. This is my truth. There was never, ever going to be an acknowledgement by my mother in how she hurt me. It was never going to come.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, we both have no problem saying disparaging things about you.
As it should.
Don't say disparaging things. I try not to say disparaging.
Part of childhood.
Very different from her. You are her daughter. I am not so much that way.
You're not my daughter?
I am, but not in the needing to say disparaging things about me way.
Not about people. That's about her.
But growing up, my brother, my sister, and I, if we didn't cover each other's backs, we would have been lost. The three of us really found ways to protect each other from the craziness in our household. You know, which is why it surprised me when my sister had such a reaction. I always felt that it was the three of us against them, and that we would cover for each other.
But did your sister, as the baby, ever have to protect you, or is her memory only being protected?
My brother had to protect me. There
Right.
were times.
Mhm.
Well, he was your older brother.
Yeah.
So you see it as the three of you in it together having each other's backs, but her version was not that. Her back was already always had. You never needed to think about having anyone else's.
Oh, I have to think about that.
Mhm.
I have to. Maybe I need to talk to her about that, but maybe not because we don't really talk about that.
Don't you listen to these?
Yeah, but that's fine.
That's
fine. You know, one of the things that I am so proud of about speaking these podcasts is that we can tell our truths.
Mhm.
You were 18, 19, 20. I don't remember exactly how old you were.
She's talking about Mara now.
Yes.
Oh, yes, I'm talking about Mara now. I'm looking at Mara. I'm pointing at Mara. We would talk on the phone. You were at college, I think. We would talk on the phone, and inevitably, I would say something that pissed you off, and you would end the conversation. You would not hang up. You would just say, I'm getting off now, and then hang up. And this happens.
I didn't do that. I just hung up.
I don't even remember that. Sarah, when I said the wrong things to you, you would say to me, you don't do this very well, do you?
That wasn't until I was older that I was able to say that. As younger, I would hang up on you.
I love that. You don't do this very well. And then she would just, So, but when you were younger, and I said to you, and I meant it with all my heart, but it has taken a lifetime to get there. With all my heart, I said, look, if you have something you need to know, if there is something you need to say to me, I beg you, please come at me. And I will guarantee you that when you do that, I am going to be defensive. I am going to push you. I am going to have a really negative reaction to whatever it is you have to say. But I promise you this. Come to me a second time, and I promise I will listen.
You sure you had that conversation with
Yes.
me and not with her? Because I don't remember
100%.
this.
No, I'm not. And I'm not nodding out of recognition. I'm nodding because I have this exact conversation with clients all the time about what defensiveness is. And defensiveness is so natural. It is when you are presented with a version of yourself that you don't want to accept is part of you, there is a protection that goes up, and that's defensiveness.
And I was actually very proud of myself for being able to do that and ask you, please come to me a second time. I will try so hard to hear you and to be more responsive. I think it was a wonderful thing to give you. I don't know that I lived up to it. That would have taken a lot more growth, a lot more. But the thought was there. And the thought was there because my mother wouldn't give me that. I tried and she wouldn't give me that. And I gave her openings to do that. And she couldn't. And when I realized I could never get it from her, it became important to me to try to give it to you.
Which is really interesting because I don't remember that. I am sure you did. And I'm sure that's amazing that you were able to do that, whether or not you were able to
actually live it.
I don't think I was able to hear it yet or do anything with that yet, because I know that I never felt like if you were defensive, I didn't feel like I could come to you a second time until I went through my process to get to the place where I could do that.
I also wonder, because I know in my experience with our shared mother 20 years apart, that, and I'm wondering if this is also, was your experience, is like, eventually you learn that defensiveness comes, so you stop trying it all because it becomes scary.
Yes.
And it's like, there's not.
I think for me, the first, because I wouldn't even like my saying I'm getting off the phone and hanging up, I never yelled at you. I never talked back to you. I was too scared to do. I would, I guess, slam doors. I remember this is what you tell me. I would slam doors. I don't remember that.
And I would say to you, slam that door again, you're going to lose the door.
Right.
I would slam the door and then I'd open it again to slam it again just to make my point.
Oh, no. See, I don't remember. I think it was dirty looks. You said I would give you dirty looks because I don't remember. But it was probably when, and I'm not going to get into the whole story right now, when I broke my ankle, that everything started to shift for me. And that is a story for another time. But that's when I started to go on my real journey of what is it that I need? How do I protect myself? And how do I relate to you when I felt couldn't show up for me when I needed you in that moment?
Right.
It's funny, you saying like that you never yelled was reminding me of me and David were on the phone. David's the brother, for anyone who doesn't remember. we were on the phone. I was telling you about how I told Dad to shut the fuck up. And hung up on him.
We were like, what?
When the fire alarm was going off at my house and the fire department came, and Dad was so mad at me for not immediately calling him to tell him if I'm like, my house might be on fire. Like, my first priority is not calling you. And he was screaming at me on the phone. And I screamed right back, I am taking care of my business. I am doing this the way that it needs to be done. So you need to shut the fuck up. And then I hung up the phone and I told him about it. And you were like, good for you.
Did I say that? In that moment, it was insane what he expected of you, but that's also his thing. I think my first reaction was not good for you. My first reaction was like, oh my God.
Well, that was your first that was your first reaction. Was like,
reaction was
what? And you and David are both like, what? And I'm like, no, honestly, when I hung up the phone, my first reaction was, oh. And I had the same reaction because I had never done anything like that before. And I hung up the phone, I'm like, okay. And that was an interesting choice. All right.
It is not the first time your father was told to.
Okay, I want to refocus real quick because I have one more thing I want to talk about before we wrap up.
I would like to speak about Lena before we. The idea of having a break, such a big break between a mother and a daughter. Or it could be a parent and a child, any gender, but this happens to be a mother and a daughter. And I so value that my daughters are so much in my life and let me be as much as they allow in their lives. And it's a lot. It's a lot. It fills me. It makes me feel whole as a parent, as a woman, but Lena is a character unto herself because she is not a mother figure.
She reminded me so much of Lessons in Chemistry.
Yes.
She's autistic. It's obvious that she's autistic.
But it was
and
the same,
so was her grandson, obviously.
But it was the same storyline of like a scientific woman who wasn't allowed to be in the sciences and became a mother and had to be a mother instead.
Yes.
And that was the same
and that was
story.
Another great book.
It was an excellent book, yeah.
No, that was a fabulous book.
Yeah.
And a great show. They made a beautiful show out of it too. But the book was amazing. But she's a scientist, and that's her focus.
Right,
the way she handled that as a mother.
The field notes on her daughter.
Oh, good Lord. Well,
but it was very like almost hands-off parenting, just like, let's see what happens in the experiment. And
yet
removal.
The daughter's, her words to her mother was, you're trying to control me. Your love is poison.
Mm-hmm.
It came across as being very
if you're doing
toxic.
An experiment, if you're doing research, it has to fulfill certain parameters. It's got to be examinable.
And it has to be
analyzed.
What's the word I'm looking for?
Peer-reviewed.
No, you have to be detached.
Right.
You have to be emotionally detached from your science experiment.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing of her getting involved in the search for Valerie, it kind of humanizes her, but in a way
her part in the search for Valerie, until it becomes a very big part in the search for Valerie. But in the beginning, it's a lot of projection about her relationship with her daughter.
Very much so.
And unresolved stuff, which is why when it gets resolved, she tries to bridge that gap. And it was a learning lesson for her. I think that it's not very realistic.
That goes back to given an opportunity to grow.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
People might surprise you and step into it.
Yes.
So I wanted to circle back to what you were saying before about how you and your sister had very different relationships with your mother, very different views of who that person was.
And they're only a few years apart.
Right. And so I'm curious, my question is for you, my sister, how do you see our individual relationships with Mom as different?
I don't remember a lot.
I mean, even now, like, how do you see how it manifested?
I'll leave the room. I'll listen to it later.
Oh, God, I have to like think about this now.
Because like you said before, like, I mean, the disparagement of people, like, you might want to disparage more than I do, but that we are very similar in a lot of ways, that you're not, that you don't have the dark humor.
Because I do, but
not in such a mean way. because there is a meanness to our humor that you don't have.
That I don't have.
Yeah.
That I don't like. I find it uncomfortable.
So it's like one example of like how it manifested differently.
I can find it funny, but it's still funny and uncomfortable. And I don't like it.
And we're not mean. We're just funny.
I think that I don't know how you feel.
Well, we know we're not serious.
Right. And that's what we're mean in the safety of the privacy of each other,
You're
not
both
in the world.
Sharper in both the quickness of it and
The pointiness of
it. Whereas I'm not.
I don't know how much
rounder.
DNA, strong genes play into this, but you're much more a Fishman, and you're much more a Robel. So we come at this, even in my home, growing up, the dark humor with a woman who lost everything. She would be able to laugh so hard that she would pee herself. We had those times where we would fall down laughing about stuff that other people would think was
and
sick.
We did too, but it was definitely led. I guess maybe in your family too, it was also led by your mother. But in our family, it was led by our mother. We had that as well.
But the Fishman line doesn't have that.
No, but I don't know if the Robel line actually had that either. Your mom was a Hyatt.
So let's say the Hyatt line,
Hyatt line.
my mother's line, had that piece, and we would get hysterical.
And so did we. We were like,
but the thing is that's funny. Is my mother and I had the most difficult relationship.
But you were the most alike.
We were the most alike.
Right.
Anna and Hal did not share characteristics with my mother as much as I did. And we tore each other apart.
But I think that was, I mean, I don't know what your experience was like when you were 12, 13, 14 with Mom, but I had to leave the house for us to have a relationship. I think that's why our relationship was able to be a strong relationship as adults, is because I wasn't in the home at the time that those things fractured.
You guys are so much alike.
So alike, and I wasn't in the home at the time that the relationship could have fractured permanently. And I think that saved us, is that I went to boarding school and I didn't live with you.
Well, it was an amazing thing. And I would say to people that my daughter's at boarding school, so I'm not saying, clean your room, take a shower, pick up the friggin' towel on the floor. I'm not doing any of that. So my daughter loves me. There's so much love here. It's all cool because we're not having the petty.
Yeah.
But there was also so much of a loss in learning how to navigate each other. I feel like there were lost opportunities where I actually would have taught her to wash dishes.
That may have never happened. It didn't make a difference if she was living with you or not. That would not have changed anything.
I hate washing dishes. And I don't think
in boarding school, she would take her dishes and put it on the belt, and it would go to the.
But I lived with you, and I still didn't really start doing that until I had my own home.
And I found a home with a dishwasher.
I have a dishwasher. I still don't really use it. But it wasn't until I had my own.
But I'm just saying, there was a trade-off in her, and you. Now I'm looking at Sarah. In you being away, there was no conflict. There was no petty, having to deal with each other. But I feel there was a loss. There was a loss of some kind of continuity in a mother-child, because you went from boarding school to college far away. Then you went you were in Australia, you were in Thailand, you were in Ireland, so we could love each other.
Right.
But it may have
so easily.
I think it was better this way. I think I would rather take the loss of whatever that was in those 4 years that I lived away for high school.
Well, 8 years and 12 years.
Right, but it's normal for people to leave after high school. We lost 4 years.
Right.
Yes.
And I think that I prefer it this way. I'm happy to take the loss of what those 4 years may have provided to be able to have what being away from each other allowed us to have the space to build.
It also gave me room. It really did, to let go of any residual expectations that I said I would not have.
Right.
There were those like, oh, she's on the swim team. Oh, I'm so happy. And then they put her on the diving team and she hurt her leg and she couldn't be on any team. And I went, okay, she can't be on that team. I thought she was going to be on the swim team. There were still residual expectations.
And you couldn't put them on her.
I could not because she's away.
Right.
She's there and she's making all those decisions for herself.
And before I left, when I was in 8th grade, we were not in a good place. It was very difficult, our relationship. I don't know how much of that you remember, but it was not good. And if I had stayed, it would have gotten worse. And I think that the fact that we are able to do this podcast now and have this relationship now was because those 4 years we had the space to love each other.
I can only agree with you because I have no argument against it.
But I think that the question of kind of what are the relationships we each have with her different?
I'm going to need some time.
Think about that. Take some notes on it. I'm curious. And we can maybe do this again some other time. Maybe we're all going to be in New York together in July, so we can do another one of these.
I really would like to, because there were things I wanted to bring up with the two of you together in the same room that I will hold till July.
Take notes.
When we're doing this again.
Yeah, which we probably realistically won't record again until then anyway. Unless we get a submission. Listeners, send us a submission and we'll record ASAP.
But, there is something I want to do with the two of you together.
Are we gonna have a
seance?
No.
What that is? Seance?
Are we gonna have a clue about what that is before we meet in July?
No spoilers. Cool.
Bye.
This is fun. We're gonna do another one of these
in July.
Think on this question.
Okay.
I think that's an interesting thing to explore. We can record more in July. Or sooner if someone sends us a submission.
All right. Well, thank you. This was fun.
Thanks for joining us.
It's been a pleasure, my girls.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
I'm Sarah.
I'm Shain.
And this has been Listen to My Mother.
If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving a positive review and subscribing to us on your favorite platform.
And if you'd like the chance to listen to my mother, head to the link in our show notes, which is currently bit.ly/listen to my submission. That's bit.ly/listen to my submission and submit your question.
No question is off limits.
And don't forget to follow our journey on Instagram at Listen to My Mother or at whatsthepoint.therapy.
Thanks for listening. Talk to you soon.
Bye, Mama.
Bye, baby.